Welcome everybody to another meeting. Is anyone here who was at the meeting last month?
Yes.
How did your life change with your diet?
Look at that plate.
It was more or less the same as I was on anyway.
Well,
I'm of that generation.
you're the converted.
But I have really enjoyed the free olive oil I got.
Oh, nice. It was nice olive oil,
It was
wasn't it?
very good.
Excellent. See, you wish you came there.
There was no freebies, yeah.
There's only one freebie and you got it.
Nice.
It's also our ringing quiz champion as well. I think you don't know.
That was really lazy.
Right. I think everyone's been here before. I don't need to go through housekeeping. I don't think there are no fire alarms today. So if the alarm goes off, it's the real thing. Out that door, down the steps, and out. Okay. Everyone knows that. Car tickets. Car park tickets. These will let you out of the car park. Page 7. Oh, this is confusing. This says free, no money at all. So if you
were giving them this.
Yeah, the car park's not working.
Car park's not working.
Oh, excellent.
They're giving free ones out.
so you don't need these.
On the main
Not this
car
time,
park.
On the main
Car
car
park.
park,
On the main car park.
Right.
where the
Okay.
barriers are.
Well, it says
barriers
no.
are.
It might still be £3 to get out, I warn you, because I was here this morning and they gave me one and I still had to pay £3 to
Okay.
get out.
Oh, really? On this one
Yeah.
next.
If you need one, I'll give them out at half-time.
Yeah.
They're on here anyway. I think that's it for that. So, today we have, you might know that we run a medical mycology course, which is a master's degree run by Manchester University. Students spend part of the time learning at Manchester University and then the part of the time learning here. And we have 3 of them here today. There's one missing. Is she on her way? Okay. This is not a compulsory part of the course. This is kind of a social aspect of the course to learn a little bit more about what it is to have this illness and so on. So hopefully you can all tell them all about that when they do. They're all going to do a talk now for at least 15 minutes each. Yeah.
No, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Get us to 2 o'clock and we're happy. Okay. So, and then I will, after the break, I've got a variety of things to talk about. Oh, that's all blurred.
Yeah,
Got the wrong
thank you
date
for
on it.
saying that, Graham.
Yeah. Are you worried?
No, she's been the optician, hasn't she?
Worried Connor's issue.
I've been on the system is not blurred.
It is blurred, it's got the wrong date on, I've just realised. It's amazing what you spot when you're standing up here. Right, so, okay, I don't think I need to say anything else. With no further ado, our first speaker, to introduce herself. You're on the microphone.
Yes, I'll put
I'll
this in
introduce
flash as well. Shall I put this
Well, you got some slides?
Yes.
Nice one. This is,
It's very simple. Very simple slide, very simple.
So we've got those slides.
This will be presentation 1. So,
Just installing, open.
to see that.
So I want to go down to probably that one. This one? No? No.
To see that. You put the flash already.
It's not colour.
Not come up. Maybe you have to
Now it's built. There you go. So which one do you want?
presentation.
That one.
No, done. Yes.
This one?
Yes.
Oh, nice house.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's here, isn't it?
Slideshow.
Right, so if you're going to, do you want me to do slides or are you going to stand here and do them?
Oh, okay, I cannot make okay. Okay, I will do this. Yes.
Right, I'll leave this. Right, who are you?
Okay. We'll wait for Dilsa to sit.
Yes, the disruptive people in the back there.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. Start. Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I think I met some of you the last month, and it really was a nice meeting, and I appreciate my pleasure also to meet you today. Okay. And this is a chance to say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Because we met before Christmas. So Happy New Year. My name is Isra Al-Mutawa. Oh, sorry. What to do for this? Okay.
There you go.
I'm from Kuwait. As you can see, it's a very nice country. I think nice just not only because it's my country, because I really miss it. This is my first time to be abroad, my first time to be away of home. Okay, you can see Kuwait Tower, but this is a very nice view, like for the seaside. Okay, in my country there is a very nice place. Here is the map, and the very special feature of this country is the very warm and hot weather in the summer, 53 degrees centigrade, and the very cool in winter. This day we have -2, by the way, and it's shock for everybody. We're not used to this. It's start to snow in our country. The point that our place is very dry. It's very dry, so whenever it's cool, it's really very hard. Like in case of damp or humid place, like Manchester, if it's 1 or 2, still maybe used to. For us, it's difficult to manage these 2 gaps in the temperature between summer and winter. And here, some of our visitors, I'm not sure if they are from the States or from Europe, and they wear our traditional clothes, as you see. This is some of the places here. If you think to visit us, we have a very nice resort, very nice hotel, malls, as any nice country, the malls, and of course the restaurant. We have really delicious food, mainly the traditional food, okay? I'll advise to visit us, but if you just think about Dubai or Kuwait, frankly, I would say Dubai. To be frank only. I'm here in Manchester as a master student. I'm doing my MSc degree in Medical Mycology. So I'm a student in the University of Manchester, and as a part of my course, I have to cover 4 units in mycology at Woodenshaw Hospital. And the hospital will cover mainly the topic of fungal disease, antifungal, and diagnostic mycology. And if we will think about my background, I did my bachelor degree in Kuwait University in microbiology. After that, I had a course in medical microbiology as well. But then I work as teaching assistant faculty of medicine. I get married, I take care of my 2 kids. Then I have a very long gap, and then I get a scholarship from a sponsor to do my master degree as well as my PhD degree, specifically in mycology. And thanks to God that I'm in Manchester. I love the place. I love the people here. Really, they are friendly.
But it's cold.
It's cold.
It's
It's
cold.
cold. I'm not used to. All my colleagues, they know always my coat with me everywhere. I feel cool a bit little now. And in the future, like frankly saying, specifically, we didn't decide yet about the topic of our project. Many things came to my plan. As a part of our course, we should do like a project or a thesis dissertation, and we should think about a specific topic. As you know, one of the most common topic and the friend of everybody, almost all researcher in the mycology, is the Aspergillus. If you know about it, this is a blade or how Aspergillus look like in the lab. And here's how it look like under the microscope. Okay, I don't know if you have an idea about it. Okay, it's a friendly organism. All researchers, they love it. It's really friendly. And we'll manage. Whenever, if we are patient, if we are researchers, we'll manage with this nice common organism. I'm thinking if I will do a project in Aspergillus about the host response, specifically the immune response. But I not yet think whether I will do in Aspergillus or not exactly. Moreover, that Aspergillus have many people who love it, so I don't want to compete them. They have already their own friend. So one of the other choice is to think about food poisoning mold. Like food poisoning mold it can be a link between a medical field as well as environmental field. The mold affecting the food, and then it will affect the human. So it's a very nice field. And what specifically, I think the toxin which is produced by Aspergillus or any type of mold, and how this toxin will affect us, what is the response of the body, something like that. But one of the other field which really attract me, it's not the filamentous fungi. Maybe you have an idea that fungi is of two types, filamentous and unicellular. The unicellular is the yeast, and one of the commonest one is Candida. And it really attracts me because it associates with many diseases. In addition, it's part of our normal flora. It is there, but because of any sort of imbalance, it will cause a disease. It will be a pathogen. Why it attracts me? Not because of bias as a lady, but really I love women health study. To do a project associated with women health study, caring about the health of women. Okay. So I'm thinking about Candida or the yeast. Here's the Candida, how it's look like in the lab. Here's in the culture, and this is under the microscope. It's a circle, yeast cell, but in some cases it's produce this filament structure. And it causes really disease in male, female, and in children. I feel interest morely, as I said, for you, in women health disease, in female, as well as in children. And the objective for me, for my colleagues, for Manchester University, Woodenshaw Hospital, my sponsor, is to bring result or outcome that will be for the sake of a human. This is the most important. And to protect the new generation. And the message which I come for today with you, that we should be optimistic and believe that whenever there is a disease, we are sure in the same time there is a cure, there is a treatment. This is what we sure. Our researchers are work for this aim, and we believe in God that also if there is a disease, there is also a treatment. And thank you. Nice to meet you today.
Thank you. Very good. This research, is this go just to research into all the papers that are published, and then you learn about them from the library, or are you actually going to go to a laboratory and do some work in the laboratory?
Yes, the part of our thesis project should be a part in the laboratory.
Right.
Yes.
So will you be looking at things like biofilms?
Maybe Candida biofilm, if it's associated with the kids or in general. Sometimes there is a link between environmental, as I said, and medical. Maybe yeast biofilm, it could be. As I told you, specifically I didn't decide. We're still looking for advisor, supervisor, specifically. I didn't decide exactly the topic, but I really facilitated with women health study.
You will get Rena ribbons, Candida.
It's Candida.
Yeah.
Then we will meet everybody. She can take 2 or 3.
That was excellent. Thank you very much. Anyone else got any questions?
Just a question about what you study and thinking about QA.
Yes.
Would you say there's a difference in terms of the type of fungi, the type of mold you would see at home? Because I guess we're pretty moldy here. But presumably different at home.
This is one of the reasons. If I think about Aspergillus, is still interested, but it will be maybe associated with food, and somehow our country is very dry. We have rarely this disease. But if we look to Candida as a yeast, specifically women health study, many pregnant women complain of such thing regarding the change in the hormone. Okay, many teenage female, from teenage until the pre-menopause age, whenever there is change in the hormone, Candida play a main role. This is why it's attract me, but I'm not sure if I can find chance or not yet. The Candida will be more important in our country. Also, it's the nosocomial disease. It's associated with the hospital itself.
Particularly with catheterization.
Yes, as you said, by pharmacy.
I was just going to ask, do you have high incidence, or is the incidence of Aspergillus infections low in QAs with being so fast?
Yes, it's not very high, but maybe we look not Aspergillosis fumigatus, Aspergillosis flavus, associate in general in the Middle East or the Gulf area, mainly rhinosinusitis, which is allergic sort of Aspergillus disease. Allergy is allergy, it's there.
A lot of the identification of Aspergillus species was done in places like Iran and Kuwait and places like that.
Yes.
If I remember correctly. So there must be lots of different species and lots of interest in
Yes,
investigating.
like in the UK, the Aspergillus fumigatus is the most high prevalence here. In the Middle East, it's different species, Aspergillus flavus. And mycology is interest field. Other point, we have no Kuwaiti mycologists in our country. The only one Kuwaiti mycologist, maybe she will finish also from Manchester here, from the Wooden Show. After 2 years, she will join, and she will be the first Kuwaiti mycologist in our country. We have just one mycologist, and he's not from Kuwait, and maybe he will retire after 2-3 years.
And he's a guy.
Yes, yes. We have a microbiologist, by the way, and they are doctor. They are medical doctor, they are clinicians, so they also have a background in mycology, so they cover both fields, mycology and microbiology, the bacteriology.
You tend to have vets that are interested in mycology, probably a bit more than humans, I guess. Because the birds, they keep a lot of birds and falconry and that type of thing.
Yes, in some
Is that Kuwait as well? They do that a lot
some
in
area. Saudi and Abu Dhabi as well,
Yes.
but some area in Kuwait because it's a very small country compared to the other Gulf country, and as you said, they care, but still there is men who care about birds and python, and this is associated with other type of yeast actually. Okay, I can remove my flash. See, I don't need this one. I don't think I use this, right? My voice.
Voice was good. Thank you. Right, who's next?
Yeah.
Which?
You will all look wholly unprepared after Ezra.
This one or this one? Okay.
So my name is Noelle Visser. I'm from the U.S. But my mother is actually Romanian and my dad is Dutch. So they met in the U.S. and now I'm here. But so I actually have a heavier background on environmental fungus because in the U.S. There's a much more heavy focus on agriculture and mycology because there's a lot of money that can be made out of that. So there aren't really any programs that are related to the medical or clinical aspect. So that's why I decided to come here. And what first got me interested in it is that basically this is a field that has so little research in it compared to any other area, and it is a huge problem. So yeah, that's why I wanted to come here. And let's see. So I am mostly interested, as Ezra mentioned, for the projects that we have coming up in June. I want to work with antifungal research. So something that, because we haven't really come that far in the past 50 years in improving it. So some research that I did in my undergrad, which I was a human biology major, so kind of like the human aspect of it, but I worked in a lab where we studied plants and the fungus that lived in the plants. So there are every single leaf in the world so far it's been documented that they have endophytes, which are microbial fungus that live in leaves, and the impact these communities can have on the plants can influence a plant's secondary metabolite production, for example, and those secondary metabolites are potentially useful in medicine. So the study that I worked on was figuring out if I could control how much a plant produces these secondary metabolites with making my own like fungal community in the plant. So a really good example of the story that I always like to tell is there's this yew tree that's unfortunately endangered, of course, but it produces this resin, and that resin is used in leukemia medicine. And they thought that it was a tree that produces this resin, but apparently it's endophytes which influence its production. So then, once you know that, you can have these endophytes in lab and then just make them produce this resin, and then it's not as expensive and all of that. So I'm kind of looking to do something similar with that, figuring out how to kind of manipulate something like that, and then have the clinical aspect by using it in medication. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say. But yeah, and Delsa wants me to say. But I started off as a journalism major, so I was really interested as a scientific reporter, which is a sad field to be in because nobody cares about scientific reporting. Yeah, so I worked for a year at a public radio and TV station, and so like in the future I would also like to, as you can see I just went off about a study, but I'm really interested in explaining how things work and how, you know, all the research that could potentially be done, and I really like talking about mycology, so I would like to potentially open people's minds to this field and how important it actually is and how it impacts so many of us. So, yeah, that's it.
That's quite a journey.
Yeah.
Biological scientist to journalist to...
Yeah, well, I mean, science was always in the back of my head, but then I went through a phase where I was like, I don't want to do this, and then all of a sudden I ended up working in a lab, so, yeah. But yeah.
And now here you are back again.
Yeah, I'm not leaving this time, so.
So is it going to be looking at, I presume it's human diagnostics, things like that you're going to be doing when you go home?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go home, though.
All right.
I mean, the situation isn't that great either in the U.S. right now. But yeah, most of my family actually lives in Europe because of the Romanian and the Dutch side. But I still feel that the U.S. I mean, they have a lot of money. Like the CDC there has a lot, but in terms of like clinical and medical, Europe and Australia are still much more advanced in it, at least teaching-wise. So I think if I were to do a PhD, I'd still stay here, and then maybe go back there. But I mean, they do have a lot of endemic fungal infections in the U.S., so that would be like Caucus and Histopathnosis.
And the largest fungus in the world lives in, is it Canada or the U.S.? I can't remember.
Yes.
The size of 2 football pitches.
Yeah.
In the Rockies, that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Plants. We're talking plants now.
Yeah.
Do you come from an agricultural background?
Well, yeah, so I'm from Michigan, which is actually right below Canada. So we have a lot of apples and cherries. Well, those are the main things. But I grew up in a very urban area. So, but yeah, I never wanted to do agriculture just because it's really boring, in my opinion. I guess it's much more interesting to see, you know, how something affects. I guess it's just, again, the human. You're always kind of drawn to yourself, but yeah, the effects that, it's not, I don't know, it's much more, yeah, I just don't like it. So, yeah.
I just thought if you'd brought it to the farm or something.
Yeah, no. That would have, noticed something, yeah. No, it was one lecture in a biology class where she talks about, I don't know if you've heard of mycorrhizal fungi. Yeah, so technically you can say that the largest organism on Earth is not a blue whale, it's actually fungus, because these mycorrhizal, they have documented like all the way from like, I think it was maybe somewhere on the east coast of the U.S. all the way down to the west. So it's just like, technically it's like miles and miles long. So I remember hearing that in a lecture, and then I was like, oh, that's really strange that fungus can do this. And then I fell into a rabbit hole.
Never come back.
Yeah, I haven't resurfaced, so.
You still a good one.
Yeah.
And the fungus talks to the trees and vice versa.
Yeah, that's really weird. Yeah, that's.
So you've left that now. You've left all that.
Well, I would, because I do like the application of, you know, taking something in the environment and then using it, you know, as a medicine. Because I mean, if you look at all our synthetic compounds, they're all based off of organic compounds originally. So the fact that you can utilize certain, you know, I mean, penicillin is like the magical thing, and it's a fungus, and no one knows that. So yeah, that's where I get pretty emphatic.
Thank you. That's 4 nationalities we've had so far. Who's next?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the third.
So, do you want this or this?
How are you going to crack out in songs?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm Harriet. Nice Nice to see you again after the Christmas. And the last time I was here was before the Christmas, and I took the difficult quiz. And today I won't talk too much about my. I come from the Shenzhen, south coast city, southeast coast city of China, which is near Hong Kong. But today I won't talk too much about my country. I will talk more about why I'm here. Before I came here.
Sorry, Harry, could you just hold the microphone there? You're banging it, and that we won't be able to hear you. Thank you.
Before I came here, I knew little about the medical mycology. Maybe the only story I heard about the fungal disease is from my colleague, and he told me that a few years ago, his father got a severe lung infections, and then he took his father to the largest hospital in our city, which is equipped with the advanced facilities. Maybe they grew the bacteria from the samples, and then the doctor gave the antibiotics. But a few days later, and his father felt worse and worse, and then he occasionally he thought maybe there could be some the fungal infection, and then he did by himself in our life, and then he grew fungi from the sputum samples, and then they switched to the antifungals, and then finally his father got recovered. That was the first time that I realized, wow, the fungi can cause the disease, and then we know little about this, and maybe we need get better understanding of the fungal disease. And during my past 3 years, working in the CDC, I found that we paid too much attention to the bacteria, to the viral infectious disease, but we know little about the fungal disease. And among the samples we received, and which were classified the unexplained diseases, I'm pretty sure that some of them are fungal disease. Then I thought if we could identify this disease, then we could save lives. And luckily, I got the chance to study abroad, and with the permission of my institute. So that's why I came here. And the study in this unit is very, very hard. Compared with the study in China. And
I accept. Especially this course.
Yeah. But I'm sure I've made the right decision, and because here we have the most excellent professors, and we got the tough and comprehensive trainings in all aspects. The more I learned here, the deeper I realized that how bad we are in this field. Last night I looked for the information about the epidemiological and clinical information about the fungal disease in China, and unfortunately, I can find very few papers. They reported the Aspergillus, the Candida, the Histoplasmas in China. Yeah, but only very few papers. Yeah. So then I think maybe it can be another good reason for me to start here. That means they need mycologists. Because when you think about the largest population in the world, and the big country, we have the desert, we have the mountain, we have the coastal areas. So that means the fungal disease must be underestimated in our country. So after the program, I want to go back to China, and I wish that I can conduct some related research and raise the awareness of the public, and then push the development of the diagnostic and the management of the fungal disease, just as Noah. Yeah. Okay. That's my story. And about my project, maybe I will do some thing related to Aspergillus. Because I told the Professor Malcolm I want to do something related to the public health and more clinical. And then he said maybe I could do some sequencing or compare the different isolated Aspergillosis to see if we can find some variation, some relation between different areas, different times.
Specific strain or species?
Yeah.
Is this for drug resistance mutations?
Yeah, it can be also associated with the drug resistance.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
It's the first time you really met patients.
Yes.
So you don't want the ward.
No.
So we're the first patients you met.
Oh, we last month was our first time in the hospital.
CPA patients or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, CPA, yeah.
CPA and APPA are the only patients we've seen.
And they're not all as strange as this. It's fine.
Yeah. But in CDC, we have a lot of relationship with our local hospitals, and we receive lots of samples from the hospitals. So during our in our last lecture, I just said, it's very it was quite nice that during my past work, we received the samples, but we don't know how they collected samples. But here we learned about this. Yeah.
And it's not easy?
Yeah, it's not easy.
No.
From the air.
The BALs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Have you seen any of that
We
being
could
done?
not find anything to save our lives. It took like an hour, then finally we found one thing. Malcolm failed 3 times, we couldn't find
That
it.
doesn't surprise me.
Oh!
So there must be hospitals in China that cover medical mycology, though, or is there nothing like that in China?
I don't think so.
No?
Yeah.
And you might be interested to know.
Maybe they care more about the fungi, about
the environment.
Yeah, from the environment, about the fruit.
Yes.
From the fruit.
Yeah.
From the hospital. Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah. I talked with my one of my friends who works in the hospital, and she told me that it is difficult for them to isolate the samples from the patients.
Yes.
Maybe they're not well trained.
You'll go back and show them.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
In the Aspergillus website, we normally have US as the most frequent users, then Britain, and then everybody else. But for the last 12 months, China has been the top user of the Aspergillus website. So you have competition. Any more questions? Thanks very much. So it's down to you.
Does your internet work?
Yes,
Can we access like YouTube?
we can. You want to do that?
Oh no, we might. It depends again. Hello everyone.
Hello.
I'm sorry I didn't actually come for the one before Christmas. I was really sick, so apologies. But I hope to see you guys again in the future. My name's Stelsa. I'm 23, and I was born and raised in Birmingham. And my area in Birmingham is Bourneville, which I know a lot of people might know from Cadbury World. Yeah. You can walk out of my house and you can smell chocolate. So it's, I never left for that reason.
Got lots of chocolate when I went there.
You know what? They've become stingy in the last few years. When I was a kid, you'd go in and you'd come out with handfuls of chocolate, but now you come out with 2 bars of chocolate. So, but then the walkers have become stingy as well. So. Where should I start from? Oh, I'm half Iranian, half Russian, so with what's going on in the world right now, I'm not really the greatest mix. Sorry. But I was born and raised in Birmingham, and I'm not going to lie to you, I have done everything but medicine before I came to university. Throughout my school education, my dad's like an artist and architect, and my mom's a doctor, she's a surgeon, so they both wanted me to aspire to their sorts of degrees, let's say. And so I'm very musically inclined, and since I think the age of like 5 or 6, I started playing instruments and was in orchestras and things like that. And it meant that when I was in high school, I started auditioning for the West End, and I was in a few plays like The Miserables, Sweeney Todd, that's Phantom of the Opera. So that was my like life outside of education. And then I took a gap year before university and auditioned for what, I don't know, our version, Iranian version of X Factor, and I was really lucky. I got to the final with that. And then a very massive juxtaposition to that, I came to university to study dentistry, so my life really, really changed. But I've still carried on with the music, and at university, like Noelle said, and like you've all said, mycology is a very low-studied degree, let alone in something like dentistry. And I found that in dental school, we did a bit of labs, but I'm not as exposed as these guys to labs whatsoever. So when I walked in first, I was like, oh my god, we have to actually know what's going on underneath that microscope. Whereas clinically, I see patients, and when I started university, I joined the Navy. So I'm a medical officer in the Navy right now, and I've been deployed. I've been in the Navy for 4 years now, and I've been deployed a few times, and that has exposed me to more medicine and the amputation clinics that they have in Birmingham and stuff like that. So I knew that I wanted to do something research-based in the middle of all this, and you don't really get enough time at dental school to truly be exposed to a certain field in a lot of detail. So I applied and took the year out this year to do mycology. And a lot of oral fungal diseases can lead to cancers. So that's something that's really important. And other than that, like things like, you guys obviously might take medication for your lungs, so you like asthma medication, let's say. That can also increase your risk of oral types of fungal infections. So things like that I find really interesting, especially like the respiratory and the oral lesions. So hopefully I want to do a project that's related to that. And and then go back to dentistry, and hopefully I want to do surgery at the end of it. So I'll qualify in a year, in 2 years' time, and hopefully. And then after that, I want to go into maxillofacial or oral surgery, that sort of thing. So and with the Navy, I'm still going to carry on. This year I've taken educational leave, but I'll carry on, and hopefully we'll join the reserves when I finish, because I think about 6 years by that point would have been enough service from one person. So
Which Navy is it?
The Royal Navy. Yeah. I'm not part of the Iranian Navy. Women, I'm not. I'm not going to lie. Like, the singing didn't help me in terms of my Iranian status, because women are not supposed to sing in Iran. So I'm politically exiled from Iran now because of it. And the show wasn't actually in Iran. We filmed it in London, Sweden, and Norway. So that anyone who was involved in that, except the boys, can't go back to Iran now. So it was bad for us, but then it's something that, like, women's rights and stuff is something that I believe in. But now I'm banned from US, so I'm banned from 2 places. So if it doesn't bore you, I'll show you a clip if you want. No, it was a long time ago.
This isn't you in X Factor, is it?
Let's see. Oh. Wait, that's what I said. Oh god.
This is latency.
No, this isn't self-promotion. I was really fat and had glasses, so that was a really good point in my life.
We really are getting in depth view of your life, aren't we? This is awesome.
I'll just show you a clip from. Would you prefer like French opera? Because this is all in Persian.
I want to hear Persian.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll show you a clip. This is, every single X Factor has their first live show, and everyone sings as a group, like the group song. This is the group song, and I sang a bit of opera.
Okay, everybody join in.
We're back next month, Greg. You're going to sing the one next month. Refuse.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
You can't refuse to come next month now.
song about?
It was, the sound stopped.
Did it?
Yeah. Is there anything that
Did you want?
the sounds just stopped?
Yes.
Okay. It'll finish in like 2 seconds. Yeah, so that was an introduction to me in my life, and yeah.
How many languages do you speak then?
5, yeah.
5.
Yeah, I'd say 5, but I'd say 4 properly, and the 5th one, understanding.
So that's 5 languages plus Birmingham language.
Oh, yes.
That's the hardest one.
Me and Noel, we both tried to speak a bit of French with each other, but
You do that.
yeah, but we're from the part of Iran that are from Azerbaijan, so we speak Turkish and Farsi, so there's a bit of a fungal related. Anyone have any questions?
I can see the relationship between X Factor and teeth. Dentistry. Wasn't that long a journey for those two?
They actually told, I remember they went around and were like, oh, so what do you want to do when this competition finishes? And all the other kids were like, oh yeah, carry on with music. And I was like, dentistry. They didn't really dig that, but it's.
So you're banned from half the world.
But you know what?
You're gonna have to stay
You
here.
said one thing about Iran. Iran, they have a lot of the diagnosis for Aspergillosis has come from Iran. There's been a massive medically developments, and I will say that with CPA, it's something that it's chronic, and I know that you might feel like there's nothing you can do about it right now, and this medication and on. But medicine's really improving. If you look at things that 10 years ago weren't about, it's saving people and it's curing people. So never give up. This is something that, why are we all going into this field, is because we want to make it more accessible and more available to more people to come and study in it. So we will promote it, and I know we're only a small amount of people, but it's I promise you it's ever increasing.
I convert everyone I talk to. So.
Exactly. So, and I'm the first dentist from Manchester Dental School to do a master's outside of to leave and do a master's in a year. So I feel like I kind of have inspired a few other dentists to do it as well. So that's only just in the dental lot, let alone the medical lot, etc. So don't ever feel like this is the end of the road, because I promise you it isn't.
Do you find many fungal infections then through your dentistry?
All the fungal infections.
Yeah.
So we've got candida naturally in our mouth, and you can get denture stomatitis, so when you get redness from dentures. You can get things like even the rhinitis and rhinosinusitis ones. They're dentistry related, but there's oral candidiasis is the biggest, I'd say, thing that we get dentistry-wise, but you can get different types of aspergillus, is it flavus, or Niger especially can colonize the mouth quite badly. So it is anything that you're finding, for example, in the lungs, is the root was through the mouth, and the nasal cavity, so that's passage. Sorry, it's very related, and you can take one of the biggest ways of assessing this is also taking a swab from inside the teeth, because it holds a massive biofilm, so it is very relevant, exceptionally so.
It's surprising that they don't make that connection as often, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. People just put dentistry down that it's just your teeth, but it really isn't. I live with medics, and we learn just as much the same anatomy, same dissection, etc. I cut as many legs as the medics did, but we specialize in the head and neck, and it's just as long as medicine as well, and it is such a big. Anything that happens up here is systemic. It's going to affect the rest of your body. So, especially something like you're inspiring something like Aspergillus, and it sits in your lungs. It's gone through the mouth and the nose, so it is very relevant. Sorry.
If you want to know more about that, I can get Rena to give us a talk on oral candidiasis.
Yeah.
Oh, question.
Would you say that dentistry has suffered with an increasing focus on cosmetic dentistry?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So you meet people, and if you tell them, "Oh, I'm a doctor," they'll be like, "Oh, congratulations for helping the people." Or if you tell them you're a dentist, you're like, "Oh, you're going to be really rich." So that's cosmetic dentistry is grand and great, but I find that a lot of people compromise patients' health in order to give them a beautiful aesthetic smile. You guys know in the USA, everyone's got these beautiful pearly whites, as they say, but in England, there is more promotion towards prophylaxis and prevention in terms, and instead of, let's say, this unnecessary. I'm not saying it's completely unnecessary. Of course, like looking after your teeth is something that's really important, because if you don't, you can get infections that can actually kill you in a lot of instances. So that, and eating food, I think that's one of the most important things to all of us. So without good teeth, you can't. But you're completely right.
And it's noticeable to me that my dentist these days, at a routine appointment, will check for lumps and bumps, obviously for oral cancers, which they didn't used to do. What I've never experienced is any swabs taken, any attempt to check for presence of fungi or any of that kind of thing. So I presume potentially that could come as part of the routine monitoring of patients in dentistry.
But the only reason I'd say they haven't taken any cultures from the mouth is because naturally we've got so much candida in the mouth. So that unless they assess the situation, they say, "Oh, there's a bit of colony or something," then they'll do that for you. But it's something that a lot of dentists, they might not actually tell you that they're doing the test, but it's something that when the patient walks in, without them even actually realizing, you quickly do the little hand around the neck, and you actually do feel the lumps and bumps. So it is something that happens. But I personally, until I went to dental school, didn't know that that was happening too. I just thought that they were just like, putting going to dentists. Dentists and optometrists diagnose 70% of cancers. So that's a big proportion, let's say, compared to, you think, a GP or going actually to any other form of specialist in this country. So 70% is because you see a dentist once a year, let's say, and you see an optometrist once a year, or dentists, some people see them twice a year. So they recognise if something's happened to you in that time, if you lost weight, if you put on weight, if you look a bit, jaundiced, or you know what I mean. Whereas a GP, unless you're really sick, you don't really go. So that it is really important. So I think that the cosmetic has ruined that sort of vision for people, but it's exceedingly important in my eyes. But I'm biased, so. Anyway, sorry for talking about
Well, that was an excellent set of talk, I think. What mark shall we give them, do you think?
Very high.
There's no towards our final grades.
Right, so break time now. I'll try and get the Skype group working again. I've got a couple of things just to entertain us, to keep the mood going. How many people have got a smartphone? We've got a smartphone.
I've got a phone and I'm not that smart because I don't know how to use it.
Unfortunately, the user's not very smart.
Do the students get the same as well?
Yeah.
Did you know our government are going to start using your smartphones to help how the NHS runs?
No.
It's happening. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about it. Last, I think that says September somewhere, around, not only a few months ago, Jeremy Hunt gave a speech. And this was the essence of it: diagnosis by smartphone for NHS patients to reduce pressure on health services. What does that mean? Okay, this is a part of the same article. All NHS patients will be offered diagnosis by smartphone. And this is blah blah blah. Quote from Jeremy Hunt himself: "We live in the age of the smartphone. We want the NHS to reflect that. A central NHS website will allow every person in the country to register with a GP, make appointments, order prescriptions and download their own medical record.
Well, I do that.
All off your smartphone." I'd never heard of it.
I have something called called EMS Access for doing prescriptions and stuff.
Yeah, that's from your GP.
Yeah.
Well, this is something a bit more advanced than that.
Spotify, is it that one?
No.
Spotify. You could play us some music.
Be patient.
Some Beatles, please.
GP.
Okay, well, this company, I don't know whether they're the only company doing it, but this is the company that we came across when David Denning read an article in the FT Weekend supplement on this. It's a company called Babylon, and they are inventing, they're pretty close to finalising the country's best doctors' support by the world's most advanced AI, means artificial intelligence. Your doctor is going to be replaced by your smartphone, essentially. Maybe the smartphone will listen a bit better. Who knows? Okay, it's serious stuff. CQC, the Clinical Quality Commission, I think that means, have reviewed this system. They have to answer important questions, obviously, if we're going to implement this in the general population. They have to be very sure. Is it safe? They found this service was providing safe care in accordance with the relevant regulations. Are they effective? Yes. Are services caring? Yes, apparently. Your smartphone cares for you, apparently. Are services responsive? Yes. Are services well led? Pretty much yes. Okay, so CQC have passed it with flying colours.
This is the one that's advertised on the television.
It might. I have not seen an advert on the telly, but I don't.
Think about the one
Where you can speak to a doctor and then, because it says later on.
But you pay a fee. There's one where you pay a fee as well.
Maybe there are other ones out there. Maybe it's this one.
Didn't pay for this one.
This one seems to be run by. Sorry, it's a Care Quality Commission, CQC. It's in partnership with the NHS, so presumably this is the one that we are going to get.
That'll be the free one.
It's. I sort of described this to our doctors last week and got pretty much the same incredulous response from them as well. But it's happening. Obviously the driver for this is to try and cut down the queues, cut down bed use, stop people going to the GPs when they don't need to see the GP, and so on. Of course, it only works if you've got a smartphone. We have a particular interest in this, which I'll tell you about in a minute. If you have got a smartphone, you can download it. If it's available on iTunes, if you've got an Apple phone, on Android, Google Play Store, I think it is on Android. Type that in, you'll get it coming up. You can install it. It's free, completely free of charge. I've got it on my phone. So. Sadly, I can't show you on there what's on here.
No reason why not.
There you go.
Same principle.
There you go. That's it running on this phone. It'll run on any of your phones as well. There you go. So I put this up. I have actually asked for money for iPads for us.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a good idea. They'll only let me have 2. Possibly, but I've asked 2 different people for 2, so we might end up with 4. You never know.
It's a wheeler dealer, you know.
Well, 2 companies never speak to each other.
Yeah.
Why not? Right. So if you put it on your phone and you put this in, the first screen, which I've just shown you, is this. You log in. All you give it is your name and your email address. Other than that, it's anonymous at the moment. Using it like this. And it just says, hello Graham, how can I help you today? And then the way I was using it was, I was telling them I had a symptom. So it's exactly like NHS Direct used to run, except you were on the phone. And now you're using this. And if you tell it, what symptom did I ask it, I wonder? There you go, I have a cough, I said, over there. What we were trying to do was get it to diagnose Aspergillosis. Okay.
As we do with many GPs.
Is the system aware of aspergillosis and our specific conditions? And that was Professor Denning's concern, that if this thing does come into play, and it looks like it's going to, we want it to be able to flag up aspergillosis or fungal asthma or ABPA. If it could do all of those things, we'd suddenly have a system where we could actually screen people out much more efficiently than GPs currently do. Okay? Because even though we might be quite good with fungi in this country, we're still rubbish at diagnosing it here. So I give it a question. I have a cough. It said, OK, I'm going to ask you a few questions about your chest. Now, I don't know what it's like to have aspergillosis, so I guessed the answers to these things. So I said, OK. And it said, sure, for some reason. Right, let's get started. Have you recently injured your chest? And then you answer yes or no, and you proceed through that. So the only time you actually put in some text is right at the start, and then it's a question of yes, no responses, or multiple choice responses. And after about, 15 questions or more, I got to this bit. One last check, have you had either of the following? And there was a multiple choice question, and the one I chose was none of the above. And all the time I'm trying to get it to think this is actually quite a serious thing, and you need to tell someone to go to A&E or something like that. And it just says, this needs looking into. I think your symptoms would benefit from further investigation or treatment by a GP. I would advise arranging a consultation in the next few hours. Don't put this off. So I did a fairly good job, but that was just based on a cough. I also tried coughing up blood, and I got exactly the same answer.
Did you succeed?
No. Yeah. And I got exactly the same answer. We don't think that's really a sufficient response for someone. But it does say in the instructions at the start, this is not intended to be something you would use in an emergency. You would go directly to A&E. So once you've done all that, you need to see a GP. It will then book you an appointment. Now, when you're using it like this, it has its own. These companies have their own GPs, and you can pay to use those GPs.
That's it. Yes, it is what I've read about.
But you can book an appointment. You can message the clinician, and you can ask another question. Okay, so they will see you. But what's actually do I say on this?
If it says you can book an appointment and it's to see a doctor who you've never seen before, how can you access your previous records?
They can't.
They
They can't they? I thought they said they could.
I don't think so.
I thought they could, because
What this is about, because if you have got a permanent, if you're going to use this for the rest of your life, then they'll have all of those records. But they probably won't have them for the preceding part of your life.
So they'll start a record.
It's like going to see another GP.
Concern that you're using a smartphone and there would be confidential data on there eventually. If you continued on, you would have to give some confidential data, and that slightly bothered me. And then some of the questions, as Graham said, we tried hemoptysis to see what the response was. And for me, it didn't ask the crucial question. It didn't ask about the quantity. And for me, that was the thing that it should have been asking, how much blood. Because some people just have a little bit, and it's quite normal for them. Some people may have a bigger event, and they should have been establishing that and advising. So it needs tweaking, but that's what we intend to do, give them more information to improve it, I think.
So it's just gone off.
So is it active then? Is it online? Is it?
Oh, it's on now.
Use it now. You can
was
see GPs, specialists, therapists.
Wait.
That's a really good idea, but I think you're being a bit harsh in trying to get that to find Aspergillosis.
Exactly.
Because
we were deliberately being harsh.
Yeah, but I don't think that should find it, because then you'll get people that haven't got it.
No, but we weren't. That wasn't our aim. Our aim was to see how well it worked, and then what we intend to do is get the feedback from people, and then go to the company. I think the intention is to trial it, isn't it, Graham? And then teach them to ask the probing questions and make it better, so that when it is up and running and they'll know what questions to ask if they don't get. So like Graham with his cough, that advice seemed to be the end answer for a lot of things, didn't it? But we want to make them probe more and ask
why would you not think that once you start getting to a certain point where it's like, okay, we've got this part of information, you should be going to see a GP, not rather than saying, well, let's see how much you've got. Oh, you've only got that much, that's okay. Or,
yeah, well, I mean, like you say, ultimately you want to be
it's good,
but I
you're at
guess
home, you've checked online to get an appointment, it's 3 weeks on Wednesday, so you can't be minded, so it's a good little thing.
That was my point, because some people can't get into the GP, so what I want to know is, does it reassure people at least? I know ultimately you want your GP appointment, that's a must, but there's lots of people who don't have access to the GPs as easily as others, so some people get in a couple of days, but my colleague can't get in for several weeks. Well, if it reassures people in the meantime, I suppose.
If it keeps coming to that,
exactly, conclusion.
And you know you can't get to the doctors, and it's saying book an appointment,
that's
and
not
then
very
it says,
helpful.
it can cost you £10. Then you've got to watch whether it's always coming up with you need to see a GP. Don't put it off. Oh dear, you can't see your GP.
Well, that's what we want to establish.
What about emergency appointments?
It costs money at the moment, but there's another bit to it, which I'll talk about in a second.
Not all of them.
Like, if you really push them, you can try and get an afternoon appointment if you say it.
No, what a lot of them do is they'll call you back. Some of the surgeries will say the doctor will give you a call.
But then I find with the NHS, this might sound awful, but you might need to overplay your symptoms sometimes to get seen. So if, you know when they call you back and they're like, oh, okay, well you just treat yourself with pharmaceuticals or whatever. If you kind of overplay it, they actually can see you that day.
But not everyone's going to do that. That's the problem. It's down to individuals. A lot of patients tend to underplay the symptoms, and they're happy to do that.
Is someone actually at the other end
No.
sending, or is that computer software? So it's not even as good as phoning.
What the manufacturers claim is that this system will operate from a database of thousands and thousands and thousands of possible outcomes, far in excess of what a GP could possibly work with, and we want one of those options to be aspergillosis or something related to aspergillosis. So it's a computer you're talking to. It's an incredibly sophisticated computer, but it's still a computer. This is actually the pre-release, I think, at the moment. There is going to be an update in April which will add a lot to the diagnostics part of it. So what we were actually thinking, what we were asking people we were going to do is to get you guys to actually have a go and just tell us what you think, and we want to get back to them saying, well, we have this group of patients and the system isn't really, we don't think it's quite right for that group of patients, and will you make some changes?
I think that's
it might be stretching it a bit.
And they're getting on there and looking for an answer. I think that's giving them false hope. Someone who's just got a bit of a cold and they can be reassured, or you're going to be all right in a few days. But someone who's seriously...
I don't think they'd ever do that though. I don't think they'd ever give that reassurance. That's why we need to test it, because
with CQC approval, you wouldn't get that.
Yeah, I think it's like 111. I think they'll always say, go and seek your advice from your GP or go to A&E. I'll put money on it. It's exactly the same outcome as the 111. But for me, it's the hemoptysis question, and if it tells people to go to A&E, that's important. That's the key thing, because that's where you want someone to do something about it. So I want it to trigger that, not have someone sat at home coughing up blood.
Or to phone and book an appointment with them.
I know, and that needs to be, but that needs to be sharper on the hemoptysis, because that needs an A&E direction, not a GP direction. And someone might read that and go, oh, it says I need to go to my GP. Oh, well, I'll do that tomorrow. No, you need to be going to A&E. But again, it depends on the quantity, and it depends on whether that's normal for the patient or yeah.
It's probably worth saying that the NHS Direct work off an algorithm, not like
similar,
this.
that's right, and that's my.
It's people reading off a screen to you down the phone.
I think it's the first step, this, really.
It is. It's a filter.
Yeah. It's only, what I mean is this is the future.
It is.
And this is the first.
We think.
Yeah, and that's, so all we need to do is improve the future and make sure it does get to the right people and do the right thing for them.
Yes.
That's what matters.
And even better, if they're saying it's better than the GP, which I could believe in terms of diagnostics, then if the system flags up and says, tell your GP this, and your GP goes, and the GP thinks the system's okay, he'll go, oh, well, maybe I should look at that. And it's a flag, raising a flag.
Have you tried message the clinician and how long it takes that clinician to get back to you?
It's very quick, actually. They have 100 GPs waiting for your call. But this is the private version. The bit that's missing that I haven't told you about this yet.
So you've got to pay for that.
You would pay for that. I think they actually do a special offer of £5 for the first visit or something. But they are selling this to your GP practice.
Wouldn't you be better off with an app like this with some sort of chemical analyzer where you can take a breath?
Oh,
that's down the line.
That's coming. No, that's on its way.
That's down the line. There's lots of plugins coming.
There is.
This is being trialled currently in 3 or 4 GP surgeries down south. So this, when you get to the bottom and it says book an appointment, it will be an appointment with your GP or your GP's practice. So the whole idea is, as you say, it's filtering out the people who don't need to see a GP automatically, and of course they'll charge for that. But then you'll just see your GP, so obviously it's the same as seeing your GP now. So I would imagine in a few years' time that'll be a £5 as well.
Is there a wording limits, like, without any disrespect to you?
Say too much.
If he asks you what are your symptoms and he starts typing all the symptoms in, is there a limit to it? But I just might say I've got a cough.
Are you suggesting you'd like a limit on that?
No, we're saying have a go and tell us about these limitations.
You tell us whether
your computer will blow up with these. Some of the it must limit you somewhere to what you can put in. Surely.
It's like, I give up, I can't keep up with you.
Do you like the answer you got there was go and see your GP?
Yeah.
Have you tried it where has it told you to go to A&E?
Yes.
So it won't tell you that.
Yeah.
I put.
It did for something less trivial than the hemoptysis.
Well, it was trivial to me. I actually started a conversation. I had about half a dozen goes at this, and I started a conversation. Being a married man, I started this conversation with, I'm having hot flushes. It's the most trivial thing I could think of at the time.
It's not trivial. Graham, that was a mistake for sure. You're not using that.
Don't tell my wife I said that. She's actually having a bad time.
Go home and say I got beaten up by the
And then I got a series of answers and questions to which I sort of tried to imagine the result to.
That was why they said go to A&E.
And as she said, at the end of that, it said go to A&E, don't wait. So there are different responses coming out. I'll put it back to here because we got a few other people to have a go from a different viewpoint. And Cara, who worked with Malcolm as a young student who worked with Malcolm, had a go. And she immediately interpreted this in a completely different way. She just asked it a question. Rather than saying, this is my symptom, she said, what is aspergillosis? And it had a pretty good answer to that. So the system is aware. It basically said, go to NHS Choices, here's the aspergillosis information there, and a couple of other things. So it's also an information resource which will be plugged into your GP practice.
So we need our website linking to that then, don't we?
We should be. That's another thing we can propose.
That would be the thing you could say. And
so it's coming.
Takes you know.
And this is Professor Dunning that's wanting us to do this.
Of course. It'll flatten your battery very quickly though, won't it?
Well, it's an into account. It may overload A&E.
Well, I think the idea is that someone say my child has got a cough, it'll say go to your pharmacist.
Yeah,
something like that.
Just on that, Graham, I'll be carrying interest because I'm retired now, but by profession I'm a community pharmacist. And in the latter years, we were very much asked to do a lot of this kind of diagnosis as first screen, to try and take pressure off A&E and off the GPs. And I mean, I think anybody who's attempted to diagnose conditions is a lot easier if the person's stood or sat in front of you. And you can look them in the eye, because it's a whole different thing when I can see their expression, I can see what they look like physically, I can see how they respond to my questions, and I think the diagnosis which isn't informed by that contact is greatly diminished.
Yes.
If you can add in diagnostic testing to this, I think it's a different animal.
Well, one of the things it's got at the moment is a video consultation with one of the GPs. So you get at the end of this, and he'll say, do you want to see a clinician? And he'll offer you a video consult, presumably quite quickly. I don't know.
Because the other thing is,
not if it's through your GP.
There's a whole issue with third-party diagnosis, as in, do they actually know that's the patient asking these questions?
Yes.
Or is it someone on behalf of that patient?
Well,
the patient doesn't want to pursue it, but I'm their partner, I think they should, so I'm asking the question. There's a whole lot of complexity here.
And there's so many symptoms that are similar, but mean totally different things. That's the worry, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think that's why it ends with a consultant here. And I think it'll only really going to catch on in the UK when it's plugged into our existing NHS system.
And I worry about David's comment, the same thing, that it might just make people go, oh, it's all right that, and that actually, you know, the expectations are
but the whole thing must be
know.
thoroughly risk assessed, or it wouldn't be approved.
I know.
So they'll always opt for the safe option, presumably.
A bit probably a strange question, but how do you go on the staffing side of that? Because obviously we've only got so many doctors, nurses, blah 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 out there. At the moment, you've only got 100 clinicians sat there. So if you get 20, 30 million smartphones and you've all got it, and all of a sudden you've got maybe 4,000 or 5,000
well, you can imagine
there, waiting for questions. So does that not mean maybe the really good people that are coming through university and stuff now, are they not going to kind of get taken down that because they'll be paying better wages in the NHS?
I mean, that's a whole different angle of clinic. Our clinicians going to be employed by this company, and you've built a private NHS alongside a public NHS. Don't know. But this is coming from the government.
Wage to go and work for that rather than work for the NHS.
It's really subjective.
And as you say, down the line, especially with iPhones, there are already in existence lots of gadgets you can plug into them that will measure your blood pressure, your blood sugar levels. There's even one that claims to be able to sequence your DNA. Because the actual DNA sequences are less than the size of that now. The tiny, obviously that's going to cost a few £100. And are you going to buy, for example, are you going to buy a thing that plugs into your smartphone to check the temperature of your child by one of the ear probes or something? It will do it. Are you going to make the outlay to do it? Well, if you are, then the system will. It saves all the records of what you're doing. They become available to everyone. EPR is electronic patient records has just arrived here. So all of your records are from now on going to be electronically stored. This will be similar. There's quite a bit of controversy about it, I believe.
Why can't NHS
the new ones
out and do their own version of it?
This is the NHS version.
But I thought you said there was private.
It is. It's been done in partnership with the NHS. This is the Tory government. They're not going to fund And they'll sell this all over the world, I would imagine.
So they've made it, but they're also going to make it.
It's going to be a big company, essentially.
So then, you know, you said in the south there's GPs that are connected with it. Are those NHS GPs? So would you,
Yes.
if you were in the south, you got to see
Yes.
those GPs for free?
So that's
Promote this, guys.
it's being trialled at the moment. So if it comes out good, I think we'll be seeing this sooner rather than later, after the update. But it must be voluntary because half of us haven't got these things, and the half that haven't got them are all the people who need the most attention from the NHS, I should imagine.
For people with mental health problems, it's going to be a thing, isn't it? The way they talk, my voice is said, I've got, or I'm seeing what I'm doing. What's the computer going to say to that?
Go to see your GP.
Yeah. What do you mean? I have to try it.
On a Saturday night, that's what I sound like.
My voice. Oh, it's got her own back there, isn't it?
What can I say?
That's 1-1. Yeah. Okay, so. Yes, at the end of the day, we wanted some feedback. If you go and have a look at that. We think it's coming. Okay, 10 minutes.
It takes me an hour just to get into it.
Oh, I somehow managed to go across that, didn't I? Okay, that's right. I'm not sure if I covered this in the last meeting, but remember we had a look at logos, and we all had a comment, and there was a designer going to go take our comments. They listened to what this person listened to all our comments, listened to the sort of requirements we wanted, and have come up with a new design, which is actually already in place on the patient's website. So we had trees, we had a sort of all-encompassing hands-together thing, which we liked, and what the guy came up with, I can never remember his name, Enrique, came up with was that. So you've got the shape of the lungs, somewhat inverted. You've got NAC pack. I might even rename the website the NAC pack. NAC pack means the electronic bit. NAC pack is this bit. Okay, that's the way we talked about it. So the leaves representing all the alveoli in our lungs, but the leaves also represent the community, all joined together and branched together. Which was quite nice.
So sweet.
So we like that. We like that very much.
We do, yeah.
And I think the important bit that makes the difference is the channel through there, which makes it obvious it's a pair of lungs, which is really good. So we're going to go ahead. After all that process that we had, that's the result. We're going ahead with that.
Good.
Okay. Unless anyone really doesn't like it. No? Okay. Okay. I've got several slides to talk about this, but I'll give you the short version because we've only got 5 minutes. Right, to change gear somewhat. For some years now, I've been thinking that we try and promote all ways that the patients could do things to enhance their health in the long term. Okay, most of them are things that will probably enhance your health 5% or even 10%, but those things are worth doing. Yeah. And one of those things, which has been used in the Brompton down in London for many years, and there are several research papers out on it, is singing. People with respiratory disease and singing. There's I went on a bit here now. There's a BMJ study with community singing for people with COPD. I was chatting to someone online yesterday who attends the Brompton, and they have about 70 beds. And what they do is every week they have a singing session for inpatients. So if you happen to be in the hospital, you can take part. And it has a really good effect. It has a good effect on your actual posture, because you have to be the correct posture to sing, your control of your breathing, on your happiness levels, on your on your mood, all kinds of things. So we think I thought that was a good thing to try and do. Several groups are run by the British Lung Foundation, so my first attempt was to contact them, and did they have one here? They don't. But that led me to finding a group of people who want to start one here. And they're coming to see us next month. As far as I know, here's a list of the benefits that I've skipped over. Lots and lots of things that it would do to benefit our health. Forge comforting memories was my favourite one. We've already got a community here, but there's lots of people that don't come here, and maybe they'll come if we sing. To sing. We sing, or they sing. Anybody sing.
Start a little band.
This is one of the studies.
NAC pack instead of the rat pack.
23 patients did a weekly singing group. The thing about singing is that you don't get, if you follow things like total lung capacity and all that sort of thing, you can't get a firm grip of that it's actually having a positive effect yet. It hasn't been done yet. So what lots of people did, what they did to record the result of this study was to record people's views, record people's feelings, and how people thought it improved their lives as a result of going to this, to the singing. These are the comments. It was a safe space, the right space to relax, which this person found important. It was a connection with others. It was the fun. It was the laughter. And I've suggested this in the Facebook page yesterday afternoon. And the overriding impression I got from about over 20 people responded straight away saying they were interested in getting involved in the singing thing. And it was about the fun and the enjoyment of it. I've also approached staff, and there's at least 2 nurses said, yes, why not? It sounds great fun.
How about students? Have the students agreed to do it?
Well, we actually have a chief, a choir leader over there, clearly, who could do that bit. Yes, so staff seem to be wanting to get involved. It's mainly about patients. We would like it to be about therapy rather than we're trying to produce an award-winning choir, essentially. The people, shared purpose is important to heighten mood. I actually talk about purpose a bit later on, but we're not going to get there. I'll do it next month. I'm doing something I would never have thought in my life I would do. I share that emotion. Come here and open my mouth and sing away, but I also know there is no judgment. I looked around and everyone's the same, essentially, which is great. And we want to keep that. We want to keep the choir at that level. We don't want people getting really, really good and then other people not feeling too self-conscious to join in. We want it to be something that turns over and everyone's welcome at all times. Carers and patients, doesn't matter. There is some physical exercise aspect to it. I'm trying to get hold of our physios to talk about this to them. We'll be coming up with a proper protocol, as it will be almost like an exercise. You will be advised what your best posture is. You'll be given certain singing exercises that will maximally benefit your particular lungs. We're going to try and tailor it to the particular type of aspergillosis or asthma that you might have. We're going to give it a go. These 2 people are 2 of the group of 5 that want to set this up in the northwest of England, this being the major centre that they want to do it for. Nigel and Pam both play for the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra. Nigel is already involved in using singing to improve health of people with stroke and aphasia and other types of things. I met him last night, actually. It wasn't difficult to meet him because he lives next door to me. By complete coincidence. He's actually retiring this summer, so he's going to have lots of time to do this. So he might well be a good driver for this sort of thing. Here is the BBC Philharmonic, and this is Nigel. Oddly, I don't know why he's holding that, because he's a violinist.
He's got a big chin, clearly.
I don't know. Maybe he's already half retired or something. Yeah. I don't know. And Pam is in there somewhere. I think that's Pam there. There they all are. It's friendly. It's about socialising. It's about enjoyment. It's not about entering a competition on the BBC. Right.
No,
I won't go into that because we'll save that for next time.
Oh, we won't know.
So if you want to get involved,
Touched on it.
want to get involved, we're going to. Nigel's coming here next month, and we'll do our talk. And I will try and get everyone who said they were interested in Facebook to come here as well. How many will be able to come, I don't know. And we'll try and get this started. These people are very keen to move it on quite quickly, and hopefully that will benefit everybody. And that's it, right, bang on 3:30. So, next meeting, Friday the 3rd of March. Thank you. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. Cheers. Safe journey home. Oh, you need your ticket.